Blessed be everyone, and welcome to Tea and Magical Tidbits. So in today's session, we are going to learn about the Return to Cinder spell. So this is a spell that I've actually been wanting to share with my viewers for a while. It's a very useful spell. I personally have used it in my practice, and it always works really well. So you might want to utilize a Return to Cinder spell when there are vampiric energies that have been sent in your direction and you want to remove them from your atmosphere, from your body, from wherever that psychic attack was directed, from your relationship, and return it to cinder. This is a spell where you don't really have to worry about karmatic energy because karma is balanced out, because that individual that sent the psychic attack in your direction is receiving what they sent out. You're not sending out anything in extra. You're not hexing. You're just returning that negative energy that was sent to you back to cinder, sort of like holding up a mirror to deflect the negative output that's being directed in your direction. Okay, so if you're someone who deals with, like, you know, people who are like envious or jealous, and you have to carry around a lot of you have to put up with a lot of stuff like that, this is a really good spell for you to try out. And it also helps because, from my personal experience, once it's done, you don't, all of that is kind of wiped out of your life, and you don't carry around like any anger or any aggression or any vindictiveness. It kind of just reflects it, and then you feel like the normal person, or you're back, I should say, you're back to being the core of who you are, and that person's negativity no longer has an effect on you. So it's a very cleansing spell as well in that sense. So before we start, grab your favorite cup of tea, because this is Tea in Magical Tidbits, and sit down and let's start. My tea that I'm having this evening, and I thought evening was actually a really good time to do the video for this spell, because it is done during the dark phases of the moon typically. It's pretty bright right now in the apartment, but that's just for the sake of the camera. But my cup of tea this evening I'm having is Dandelion Tea, which is, as I described in my Living with Herbs video, really good tea actually for psychic divination. And since we're dealing with a spell that's dealing with psychic attacks, this would actually be really good tea to drink for a spell like this. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to, let me show you this first. So I have here a black candle that I use for the spell. You can use a black candle, or you can use a brown candle, depending on the type of energy that you're trying to reflect, and I'll get more into that a bit later. But typically I've used the black candle. And before you do the spell, you want to make sure that you clean your candle well. So whether you're sprinkle holy water, or you can smudge your candle. And what I'm lighting right now is a smudge stick of Yerba Santa. Yerba Santa is a really nice herb that I'll get into on another video. It's a little bit, it's harder to light than sage because it has a sticky sap. But once you do get it lit, it works wonders. See, it's barely lit. Try this again. I usually put it on my stove pilot light and just leave it there for like 30 seconds. There we go. We got a little fire going now. A little smoke going. Okay, so you want to clean your candle well. Make sure you get on the inside and on the outside. You also clean yourself, because again, this is all a cleansing spell. You want to get off anybody else's energy that might be on the candle, because you're returning to cinder. Now, this spell works really, really good if you have an item of the person. If it's something like a work situation, an item that you can collect easily can be like somebody's handwriting. Sometimes people, depending on like their hair type and stuff, they even shed hair, so they might leave hair at the desk. What else? If a picture of the person, you know. Obviously this is not a spell to just be done lightly. The person has to have done something that they are deserving of this type of spell work. So feel free to collect those items if needed for the spell. Okay, so we've got our candle clean. I'm just going to turn the camera now so that you can kind of I can have a little area where it's like a little workspace and just do a slight demonstration of the spell. Now I'm working with my laptop, so bear with me. Okay. So, okay, that should be good enough for now. Here are some of the items. Okay, so typically for this spell, I use a mirror. And a mirror is really good because it amplifies the spell, and you are going to be returning to cinder, so it's going to help repel that negative energy and amplify the spell. Depending on what kind of spell work you do with your mirror, whether it's scrying or etc., I typically like to keep my mirrors covered because that protects it when you're using a mirror as a portal into the other realms. So here we have the mirror, and you want to place that candle after you have it clean on top of the mirror. Now you can use, this is a pretty big candle to use for a return cinder. It's a 7-day candle, so you might not want to use a 7-day candle. If you're planning to meditate for 7 days over this candle, then go right on ahead. If not, you can use a taper candle, or you know, a votive candle. It really just depends on your need and spell work, but this is what I have on hand right now, so I'm just doing the demonstration with this 7-day candle. Typically when I do a return to cinder, I'm using a taper candle, but like I said, it depends on your need. If I had someone who's really horrible that I need to get out of my life and really affected me or devastated me in some way, perhaps a 7-day candle might be what you need for your spell. Now what you tend to do is carve the candle. So usually I will write return to cinder on the candle as many times as I feel necessary, and you can also inscribe it with whatever runes you feel are necessary. I usually use the runic symbol for death, meaning an ending to situations. You can use whatever runes you feel are appropriate. So you want to place that candle on top of the mirror in the center. What you will also need for this is black salt, which I have here. So I'm just going to run down some notes that I have here so that I'll make sure you guys are getting the full spell. And this is spell I'm sharing with you is one that I've actually tried and it has worked. within my spell work. Okay. So this is a Banish and Return to Cinder reverse candle spell. This is a practical candle spell that will draw its energy from the element of fire. It should work very quickly once the ritual is completed. Choose a darker candle if you feel there is gossip or ill intentions towards you or your loved ones that needs to be returned to cinder. Candle colors of brown tones are for healing the household or for office protection. Black candles are mainly for jinxes and hexes, banishing and removing negative energy such as the evil eye. Both colors work well and return the unwanted remarks, negative forces, and energies back to the sender, thus releasing you of any karma or responsibility and freeing you and yours of these negative energies and frequencies that do not belong to you. Take note that this is a 2-hour ritual, and once the candle goes out, it is done. You may like to do this on the dark moon phase of the last quarter, or the balsamic moon, or balsamic moon. I'm sorry, that is balsamic moon phase, just before the new moon. Typically, me personally, I do this on the dark moon phase, and it's worked wonders for me there. It is sometimes recommended that you repeat the spell 3 times. You don't have to, but if you're repeating the spell 3 times, you're repeating it on during the dark moon phase. And that is the phase, the moon typically turns black right before, turns dark right before the new moon. So you could either do it once a month on the dark moon phase for 3 consecutive months, or you can do it within that 3-day period leading up to the new moon and do it 3 consecutive days. Okay. So, firstly, decide on your intention and the outcome you would like to see. Sit down, meditate a bit, focus on your intent, then write it out on a small card or paper so you can recall it as you progress through this ritual. Choose your colored candle that tells you it fits with your intention. Choosing the candle shape depends on your own personal taste. Votive tapers, figurines, beeswax. It's always good to have a few different mood color candles around the home or office or place. Obviously, I'm reading right now, so that's why you're getting all that additional information that I'm sure you are aware of. Okay, items you will need: a black or brown candle, or reverse red. You can also use a black skull candle. You will need a needle or a nail, a thorn or quill. Red, for me personally, I just use a nail. Or you can use a needle. I typically use a nail. I use a nail to carve my candles anyway. If you're using a candle like this, you're going to want to write on the glass when you do your return to sender. Some people kind of inscribe on the inside at the top, but I typically write on the glass. This is not one of the pull-out 7 days, but you also have a pull-out 7-day candle that you can pull the candle out and write on the wax and then put it back in the glass. Sit down and okay, we've said that part already. Once you have the ingredients ready for this ritual or spell, you're going to mix the oils to dress your candle. Traditional oil used for this is rue or hyssop oil and some olive oil with a few added red pepper flakes to anoint the candle from top to bottom and then back again. Now, I personally have used pepper and oil when I'm doing my spell. I actually have some rue now that I purchased, I think it was a few months ago with Lavender Moon when we took a trip to Flower Power. But when I've done this spell, and I have had this spell in my possession for years, I've always used just pepper and olive oil, and you can use whatever kind of pepper you have in your cabinet, whether it's red pepper flakes, you know, cayenne pepper, chili pepper, black pepper. They all have that category of repelling, and that's the strength basically that pepper has. Sure, you're going to make an oil by adding the pepper to the oil, or rue if you want to. Again, hyssop if you have that in your possession. And then you're going to anoint the candle. It says here, from top to bottom and then back up again. Now, some people anoint candles different ways. You have people who kind of anoint so that the oil goes, so that you're bringing two, so they'll anoint towards the center. You have people who anoint going away like this when they're taking away, and then you have people who just anoint all over. It really just depends on your preference, but if you want to stick to this particular spell that says from top to bottom and then back up again. Okay, decide what you want to carve on your candle. Then that's what you're using the pen or the nail for. And again, for me, I would write return to sender. I'd put the person's name on it. If you have the date of birth, whatever you have from them makes it more powerful. How many identifying things that you can use. You can write like the things that they've done to you, the things that you want to return to them. Okay, so you carve your intentions into the candle, which you want to infuse this reverse spell ritual with. You can write return to sender once or as many times as you like, along with any other notes or points you would like to record. Okay, you need to take a sip of tea. Okay. Once you're happy with your candle carving, roll it in the crushed white sage, rue, or hyssop flakes, or pepper, if you like. Then you put it into your holder, and then you put it on top of the mirror. Or alternatively, place the mirror so that it faces and reflects outward out of your home or office, preferably towards the back door or back window. Or in the general direction of the ill will. The mirror will amplify, direct, and make haste your ritual. You may like to place the candle on top of the mirror, which will strengthen and magnify the energy towards the higher realms to be acknowledged by the prime creator, where it will be returned back to where the evil intent truly belongs. Now, you want to place a circle of salt around the border of the candle if you want, for added protection and purification. Now, I personally always place the salt around the candle, and I use black salt because of the properties that black salt carries, which includes vanishing, and it can be used in hexing rituals as well. I don't know if I'll be able to get this open, so they're pretty tight. Stand by. Oi. Gosh. Okay, yes. Okay, so these are pretty coarse grains, but I would place the salt around the candle in a circle. You can crush this if you like it finer. Now I'll teach you a trick. After I'm done with this black salt, what you can do, leave it like this or crush it up. And if you know where the person lives, or you know it's a place where they keep their belongings, or you know where they frequent often, you can put the black salt, sprinkle it there in that area, and when they touch the salt, obviously you might want to say a charge over it, another charge, or a charge during your ritual. When they touch the salt, it will repel them, and you can throw it under their feet if you want them to go away, like within their footprints, or like in an area where you know that their feet would be, or just somewhere where they touch it, where they will touch it, and it'll give you, it'll repel them and protect you from any of their negative psychic attacks. So this is how you would place the salt around the candle. I just want to make sure we're still going. We are. Great. Okay. It's a little hard to see on the computer. Okay. So you're placing this all around the candle. Okay, place 1 drop of oil on the wick and let it gently flow down the whole candle. You're now ready to light the candle. Read your prepared words of power that you have written, or recall your intention openly in your own words. Try not, and now some patrons that you may want to call upon to help you, Saint Expedite, also in other cultures known as Ilegua, or Saint. You can call upon Saint George for a time. Like I said, Saint Expedite in other cultures, also known as Ilegua, and is also relative to Saint Michael. If you do some research, you'll find that out. You can ask for angels to surround oneself and one's house with divine protection at all times. Ask that any negative frequency left behind in any aspect of the home, office, or garden be located, isolated, removed, and transmuted into the 5th dimensional energy. Dust your house. Negative energy tends to accumulate in dust. This will help to protect all that live there. Within the power of the written words now said and done, it is time to take the card or piece of paper with your written intentions on it and place it over the flame while holding it with a pair of tweezers. Wait for the paper to burn out. Meditate on your intention once again and repeat it out loud so that the negative energy is never to return, ever. If the flame goes out, then that's a sign this reverse ritual, spell ritual, is now done. Otherwise, wait and allow the candle to burn down till the wick flame no longer exists. Gather up all the ashes and wax, wrap it in a brown paper or newspaper and throw it away. Repeat on 3 black moons for best result. This ritual keeps those creeps, critters, and negative energies at bay. Okay, let's see here. Okay. So that's typically how the ritual is done. You come up with your own words of power. I particularly like that 5th dimensional reference there in the spell, and I come up with my own words of power and repeat that and insert that in. I have done the spell once and did not need to repeat it 3 times, and I have actually done the spell in repetition as well. It all depends on, you know, what you think and feel intuitively is needed for your spell. So obviously there is great power in the number 3, but just one really emotional spell can be just as good. Okay guys, so let me turn you guys back around. Okay, so that is the Return to Cinder spell. I hope you guys enjoy it, and stay tuned for the next episode of Tea and Magical Tidbits. Blessed be everyone.